Let's binge-watch the latest season of The Boys. The superheroes are back again. The famous Homelander faces a midlife crisis. His body hair is unexpectedly turning white, and he has already collected a jar. The only way to find solace is by drinking milk.
That's my good little boy.
This season, Homelander not only finds a humanoid milkmaid, but also rebuilds the Seven. He intends to assassinate the President of the United States, and promote superhumanity to power. Faced with challenges, can the boys defeat Homelander, and save the world? Let's dive right in. At the end of the previous season, Homelander was killing people on the street with Ryan, but he quickly realized he had supporters. He didn't condemn this behavior. Instead, he received more support. Ryan also realized that strength is what matters, and Congresswoman Victoria Newman is closer to the presidency than ever before. On this day, she attended a campaign rally, and the boys were also present. They didn't know what they were thinking. Butcher, due to a tumor in his brain, only has a few months to live. Because of his previous lies, the boys intentionally ignored Butcher. Coupled with his son being taken by Homelander, Butcher is at a low point in his life. At this moment, Homelander brings Ryan to the rally. The boys are surprised to see him. Homelander's appearance was not part of the plan. The team warns Butcher not to confront him, but when Butcher sees his son, he chases after them, urging Ryan to stay away from Homelander, not to let him change his mind. Ryan is deeply influenced by Homelander. He has long seen him as a father figure. Just at that moment, Homelander approaches Ryan. He notices the tumor in Butcher's brain, and that he has only about 6 months to live. Ryan feels saddened, but ultimately chooses to leave with Homelander. Meanwhile, Frenchie and Kimiko sneak into Victoria Newman's room. They are caught by her daughter, Zoe. They intended to say a few words to send her away. Zoe is a superhuman. She extends several tentacles and attacks Kimiko in order to save Frenchie. Has her arm torn off by Zoe. Zoe's fighting capabilities are beyond imagination. Frenchie drags Zoe and they escape. Starlight warns them. There is a window at the south end of the corridor, but it's 8 floors high. Kimiko breaks through the window. Starlight immediately flies into the air to catch her. Kimiko, due to her previous injuries, her severed arm doesn't immediately regenerate. She can't grab Starlight's hand. She falls to the ground and becomes a pulp. Fortunately, Kimiko has regenerative abilities. Otherwise, she would have died. On the other side, Victoria Newman finds Huey. Want to persuade him to return to his camp. Huey takes advantage of her momentary distraction. He throws a specially formulated acid at Victoria Newman, but the corrosive liquid doesn't harm her. Butcher comes out and fires his gun, yet Victoria Newman remains unharmed. The boys' assassination attempt completely fails. The client for this operation is actually another senator from the presidential election, who conspired with Mallory. Did not expect. The strong acid that has been studied for several months has no practical use. On January 6th, Congress is set to certify the election results. They cannot allow a superhuman-like to become the President of the United States. At this moment, an old comrade named Najin finds Butcher, hoping he will abandon the boys and join his own camp. But Butcher has many issues on his side. Homelander is also not doing well. Due to his street killings, he faces accusations from all sides. What company has long since declined? The board had wanted to provide Super Sevens, find new candidate, but the list of candidates is unsatisfactory. Female candidates, Deep finds them not attractive enough. Male candidates are either deranged individuals or dog-eating lunatics. Homelander and a group of henchmen, they are incapable of handling the company's crisis, but they need to find a solution to the problem. Homelander is on the candidate list, and found a Sister Sage whose superpower is high intelligence, so he seeks her assistance. This is also the first time Homelander changes his clothes. Sister Sage deserves to be the pinnacle of intelligence. Homelander is like a gorilla in front of her. From their conversation, it is evident Homelander is currently very confused. He has already achieved his previous desires, climbing to the pinnacle of power in Vought Corporation, yet he still feels unhappy. While humans still control this world, Homelander wants to change this reality. Sister Sage suggests, organize a superhuman army to massacre ordinary people. Does not change this situation. If you crush ordinary people, who will build monuments for you? The masses will self-destruct. You just have to egg them on a little bit, and then pounce on it. Be the savior of people.
Like Caesar.
Like Caesar.
On the other side, Butcher secretly meets with Victoria Newman, wanting to team up with her to take down Homelander. Butcher already knew about Godolphin University creating the evil virus. They know this virus cannot kill Homelander and Victoria Newman. In order to win the election, Homelander knows about her wrongdoings. So, like Butcher, she also wants to get rid of Homelander. Butcher also tells Victoria Newman that the CIA and the boys have mobilized all their forces to take you down, so cooperating with me is the best choice. Victoria Newman agrees to Butcher's proposal, but also makes a demand that Butcher must steal the Red River intelligence collected by Huey, as it contains incriminating evidence against Victoria Newman. Huey is unaware that his friend plans to betray him, and argues with Starlight and others, want to keep Butcher's position on the picket line. Shortly after, he receives a phone call, learning that his father has been hospitalized due to a stroke. Huey stays busy until late at night, before rushing back to the headquarters from the hospital. Meanwhile, Butcher pretends to console him, and takes the flash drive containing the Red River intelligence. Butcher finds Mother's Milk to search for his runaway daughter. He sees Sister Sage discussing passionately with his ex-wife's husband. It turns out, Sister Sage is helping Homelander gather a group of his supporters, and plan to have the Super Trio kill 3 fans of Homelander. The fans are unaware of the danger. They are excited to see their idol.
I want you to take these bats and beat these gentlemen to death.
Everyone still thought he was joking, but Homelander insists, and the others can only comply. They bludgeon 3 fans to death with baseball bats. Outside, Mother's Milk sees Homelander, and feels puzzled. Isn't today the day for his murder trial? Mother's Milk immediately follows. At this moment, the courthouse is crowded with 2 opposing camps. One group supports Homelander, while the other supports Starlight. The court quickly announces Homelander's not guilty verdict. Sister Sage infiltrates the Starlight supporters' camp. She pretends to be unhappy with the verdict, and throws her drink at the Homelander supporters. This move became the trigger, and the 2 camps erupt into a conflict. When Starlight arrives to organize, her spokesperson has already been injured. Train, using his super speed, moves the bodies of the 3 fans to the scene of the riot. People planted by Sister Sage immediately shout, "Help! Starlight killed people." Sister Sage orchestrates this, completely tarnishing the reputation of the Starlight organization. Homelander is very pleased. He drinks his milk while enjoying the news reports. Suddenly, Ryan says, "I don't want Butcher to die." Meanwhile, Butcher, due to Compound V, experiences hallucinations in his brain. He repeatedly sees his deceased wife, and under her persuasion, he decides not to betray the boys. Meanwhile, Huey, who is in the hospital, unexpectedly sees his mother. The most absurd thing is, Huey's mother is actually working as a beautician at Vought. Huey doesn't want to deal with his mother, but she reveals that she has been in contact with his father. His father even entrusted the medical decisions entirely to his wife. Huey doesn't understand his father's actions, and angrily leaves. Shortly after, Butcher releases another piece of news, claiming that he doesn't have much time left to live. Mother's Milk doesn't sympathize with him. Instead, he tells Butcher to pack up and leave. On the other side, Vought is preparing for the debut of young Homelander, Ryan. However, the PR department's publicity story is like a low-quality bathroom read, so Sister Sage introduces her own plan. Ryan is an incredibly special superhuman. He hasn't received any drug injections. He is the first natural-born superhero. Sister Sage crafted a perfect script to have Ryan make a surprise appearance in the rescue operation. Homelander felt unhappy when he realized he had no role in it. Ashley was angry because Sister Sage took her job, but deep, oblivious to the situation, wanted to make a name for himself in the rescue operation.
You want to join a family-friendly PG save? While PETA still has you on their bestiality watch list?
This refers to Deep's involvement with the octopus, and the incident that almost got him banned from television. Sister Sage provoked Deep, saying that as a superhuman, he shouldn't be controlled by Ashley. Shortly after, everyone started rehearsing the rescue operation procedure.
Let her go.
Out of my way, kid.
It's gonna be okay.
Do you promise?
Did you see it? This is how stars are made. This is packaging. Ryan's admiration for the Seven shattered a bit. Were all those rescues just for show? Homelander comforted him, telling him not to worry, that it was all to help him adapt to real rescues in the future. Just then, Homelander overheard gossip from the crew members. They praised Ryan's youthful appearance on camera. Unlike Homelander, who had wrinkles as he entered middle age, it cost $9 million for post-production to remove his wrinkles. Those words pierced Homelander's heart. Deep followed Sister Sage guidance, and taught Ashley a lesson. Seeing the woman sulking made him feel relieved. On the other side, Mother's Milk began investigating Sister Sage's identity. He suspected that she orchestrated the commotion at the courthouse. Unfortunately, the 3 fans died from blunt force trauma, leaving no evidence of superpowers causing their deaths. Mother's Milk tapped into Sister Sage's phone, and discovered that she booked a room at the Vought Hotel. So they prepared to go there and gather information. Mother's Milk and the others had just arrived at the hotel. I only saw Butcher. At that moment, the hotel was hosting a gathering for the Anti-Starlight organization. There were slogans and satirical posters everywhere. The place was filled with Homelander supporters. The leader of the group was Firecracker. The boys infiltrated the crowd, listening to her conspiracy theories. He accidentally noticed Firecracker's supporters split man leaving the venue. Frankie and Kimiko immediately followed them. Butcher also wanted to go, but Mother's Milk stopped him. Split man enters dressing room. Frankie opened the split person's phone from their locker, and discovered that the split person was meeting someone at the hotel at 9 p.m. Meanwhile, Starlight and Huey were monitoring A-Train. The other party is leading 2 nephews to brag, telling how he fought wits and courage with the bad guys. A-Train's brother suddenly appeared, and exposed how his brother had never participated in any rescue operations. All those heroic deeds were just special effects. Even the villains were portrayed by stunt actors. A-Train didn't know how to explain it to his nephews, and could only use his superpowers to leave. Starlight and Huey lost their target, and had to return to the office. Unexpectedly, A-Train was there. He had already noticed that the boys were tracking him. A-Train handed Huey a USB drive. There is a surveillance video inside that could prove the deaths of the fanatics had nothing to do with the Starlight organization. Train's reason for helping, it's to thank Starlight for not rushing out just now, and embarrass him in front of his family. Huey used the footage. They successfully rescued the imprisoned Starlight fanatics. On the other side, well-rehearsed rescue plan, they were finally ready to showcase it to the public. Ryan followed the script step by step, but Homelander was unwilling to be a supporting character. He wants to stand up and steal the limelight. Ryan felt guilty for accidentally killing someone, but Homelander thought it was because he was upset about stealing the scene. Back at the hotel, Sister Sage found Firecracker, and arranged to meet her in Deep Blue's room at 9 p.m. Their conversation was overheard by Mother's Milk and Butcher. On the other side, Kimiko saw a poster depicting child abuse, which reminded her of her tragic childhood experiences. She tried to calm herself down, but ended up getting into a physical altercation with a passerby. Frankie quickly restrained her. As night fell, Mother's Milk brought the team to Deep Blue's room, and the 3 of them covertly installed surveillance equipment in the neighboring room. There was no one in the target room. The next moment, Sister Sage, Firecracker, and the split person broke in. It turns out they deliberately lied about meeting at 9 p.m. to lure Mother's Milk and the other 2. Sister Sage told Firecracker and the split person that if they can kill them, they will earn Homelander's favor. As soon as they heard this, the 2 of them immediately took action. The split person used their special ability to continuously split into multiple clones. Mother's Milk and Frankie hid in a room nearby. But unexpectedly, there was a party going on, so they blended in with the crowd. Meanwhile, the split person barged in directly, and Kimiko and Firecracker followed by breaking through the wall, creating chaos in the entire scene. Due to the large number of split clones, Frankie and Mother's Milk quickly ran out of bullets, so they engaged in hand-to-hand combat with the split naked men. Just as Kimiko managed to free herself from Firecracker's grip, she was shot in the forehead by one of the split person's bullets. Fortunately, her regenerative abilities prevented her from dying. Firecracker immediately started a live stream, intending to spread some conspiracy theories, but she was knocked unconscious by Butcher. The other split clones saw their goddess injured, and sought revenge. They subdued Butcher. Mother's Milk stopped worrying about the details, and led the team to rescue the captured individuals. Butcher coordinated with Mother's Milk, and shot through the split person's main body, killing the original and causing the clones to perish as well. Firecracker realized the situation was not favorable and quickly escaped. The boy's attitude towards Butcher finally improved. When he stepped up in a critical moment, Butcher took the opportunity to propose rejoining the team, but was rejected by Mother's Milk. Kimiko has been unhappy since returning from the hotel. She found information about the terrorists who kidnapped her in the past, igniting a flame of revenge within her. Homelander officially announces that Sister Sage and Firecracker are joining the Seven. And of course, he hasn't forgotten to reserve a spot for Ryan.
Smile right now.
Butcher becomes angry after seeing the news, and he and Neagle plan to find a way to drug Ryan and confine him in Grace's safe house to separate him from Homelander. Starlight decides to confront the influence she has as a superhero, and leads the organization in resisting Bot Corporation. On that day, a fan brainwashed by Firecracker breaks into Starlight's home, claiming that they have a basement, where children are kept to serve wealthy individuals. He pulls out a gun, and demands the staff to hand over the children, but they are perplexed as there is no basement. Frankie subdues him. On the other hand, the higher-ups are also finding ways to suppress Vought. Secretary of Defense Robert A. Singer proposes amending the Superhero Accountability Act, banning superhumans from serving in the military, private police forces, and even holding government positions. His words are directed at Victoria Newman, and a non-violent war is about to begin. Meanwhile, Kimiko is preparing for her own war, as she plans to eliminate a branch of the terrorist organization Shining Light, in revenge for her traumatic childhood. Mother's Milk is unaware of Kimiko's plans, and is planning to turn A-Train into a double agent, placing them beside Homelander. At first, Starlight disagrees, but Firecracker on TV points out that Starlight rose to her position through nepotism, which infuriates her. So Starlight bursts into Firecracker's room, and confronts her face to face, asking why she dislikes her so much. It turns out that Firecracker and Starlight were contestants in the same talent show, and both made it to the finals. However, Starlight spread a rumor that 13-year-old Firecracker only made it through connections, which caused Firecracker to hit rock bottom. Starlight apologizes for what happened back then, but Firecracker refuses to forgive her. She wants Starlight to experience the pain she went through during that time. On Butcher's side, he knows that his son likes playing games, so he creates a gaming account to get closer to Ryan through the game.
Oi, Ryan, better me than some dodgy incel walking Vault coin.
Ryan wanted to log off directly, but he can't resist Butcher's plea, so he reluctantly returns to the game, and beats up his own father. Considering Butcher's request for a meeting, Ryan finally agreed. Ryan goes to the apartment where Butcher lives, completely unaware that his father is planning to drug him. The father and son play table football together, creating an atmosphere of trust, and Ryan opens up about feeling guilty for killing people. Butcher realizes that his son is kind-hearted, and doesn't want to betray his trust. Therefore, he throws away the drugged cookies, and abandons his plan to drug Ryan. However, Neagle is displeased with this decision, as he wanted to groom Ryan into a secret weapon against Homelander. He doesn't understand Butcher's actions. On the other side, the fake Black Noir, who has been playing a background role all along, suddenly approaches Ashley, seeking information about Black Noir to study his behavioral patterns. That's right, the current Black Noir is actually a performing arts student in disguise. While the two are having their conversation, Homelander instructs everyone to take their seats for a meeting. Sister Sage takes A-Train's seat, and Ashley is kicked out of the conference room, because Sister Sage will be taking over her job. Ashley is furious, and storms back to her office to vent.
Who wants their balls crushed?
Me?
Meanwhile, during the meeting, Sister Sage points out that someone has hacked into the crime analysis department and stolen surveillance footage, which was then delivered to Starlight or certain members of her team to help the enemy clear their names. Since Deep is in charge of that department, Sister Sage demands that he hand over a list of employees with access to the server room, effectively stripping Deep of his managerial authority over the crime analysis department. Deep confides in his octopus girlfriend, sharing his feelings.
You've been so distant lately, and we haven't been intimate in...
A-Train suddenly receives a text message from his brother. Brother invited him to meet at the playground, but when A-Train arrived at the meeting point, he saw Mother's Milk instead. He invited A-Train to join him. At the same time, Kimiko and Frenchie entered the Shining Light Division's headquarters, but Frenchie, due to excessive drug use, had an unstable mental state. Kimiko bravely fought the enemies. He was trapped in hallucinations. The crime scene transformed into an amusement park. At that moment, Frenchie suddenly heard the call of his lover, Colleen. He followed the sound to a room behind him, and saw the person he had previously killed. In fact, not long ago, Frenchie learned that Colin's family had died at his hands, which caused him immense guilt. That's also the reason for his excessive drug use. Kimiko was unaware of Frenchie's pain, and was engaged in intense fighting outside the room. Recognizing her opponent as a familiar face, she let the person go. On Sister Sage's side, she found a SWAT employee who had spoken to Starlight. She wanted to know who had stolen the surveillance footage. The employee explained that she contacted the Starlight home, only to donate some clothes, and didn't know who took them. But Sister Sage said, "As long as you tell the truth, we won't hurt anyone." Homelander made a statement.
Yes, I swear. I swear on the life of my son.
Just as the employee was about to speak, Homelander shot him dead with his laser beam. Sister Sage was driven mad by his actions. On the other side, Mother's Milk learned from A-Train that Victoria Newman would meet Homelander at the ice rink. He immediately gathered everyone at the rink. After waiting for a long time, only Huey came, because the others still don't show up. The two of them decided to act in advance. Huey crawled into the ventilation duct to install a bug. Victoria Newman arrived early. He hurried his actions to avoid being caught. Just as Huey was about to finish and leave, he heard the voices of Homelander and Sister Sage. They were luring Victoria Newman, saying they would take care of Secretary of Defense Robert A. Singe once the election was approved, helping Victoria Newman rise in position. Of course, she would have to disband the Supes Affairs Bureau and elevate the status of superhumans. Victoria Newman thought they had too many ideas. Secretary of Defense Robert A. Singe is very united with the military. It's not easy to bring him down. During their conversation, a drop of sweat from Huey fell onto Homelander's shoulder. Homelander immediately sensed someone eavesdropping. He fired his laser beam towards the ceiling. Homelander smells Huey eavesdropping by his sweat. He prepared to chase after him and eliminate the witness. In a critical moment, Mother's Milk found the control panel and used the lights to disrupt Homelander's laser. He successfully saved Huey's life, but Homelander chased him to the rooftop, only to find Huey had already disappeared. A-Train saved Huey, and after putting him down, he left. Homelander was furious because he couldn't catch him. When he returned home, he discovered that Ryan had gone to meet Butcher. He was on the verge of exploding. His biological son was always thinking about others. Homelander is distraught. He hated himself for becoming weak. Love, for Homelander, is a disease. Only by transcending humanity can one become powerful.
You need to go back to the start.
The above is the content of the first 3 episodes of The Boys. The show subverts the traditional image of superheroes, approaching them from a negative perspective, portraying superheroes as villains. This counter-current creative concept provides a lot of inspiration. If you like my channel, please subscribe to it. Homelander listens to the guidance of his inner voice. He returns to where it all began, his underground training facility. The researchers see Homelander frozen in place upon his arrival. After all, the previous experiments have become powerful weapons of murder. They see Homelander as if they have seen the Grim Reaper. However, Homelander doesn't care. He even invites everyone to have cake together. Homelander speaks up. He calls Frank over to his side. He suggests a game of waste paper basketball. They take turns throwing waste paper into the trash can. Whoever scores 3 baskets first wins. Speaking of which, this game was actually something Homelander learned from Frank. When he was young, he was locked in a furnace and subjected to various high-temperature burn tests, and Frank sits on a chair, throwing things into the waste paper basket. He intentionally raises the furnace temperature to see if he can burn Homelander's skin. Although Homelander is not harmed by high temperatures, the pain is real. Young Homelander cries and howls in the furnace. His tears vaporize as soon as they come out, while the researchers stand outside, taking notes. Frank is very scared. He explains that it's part of the job. Homelander walks towards the furnace.
Get in the oven or your family goes in with you.
Please, Homelander, you don't have to
Marty.
do this.
Frank apologizes and walks into the furnace. Homelander closes the door and activates it, allowing the high temperature to turn Frank into charcoal. On the boy's side, Butcher's health condition worsens. His wife's hallucination keeps appearing. Huey receives news from the hospital. His father meets the criteria for brain death. The best solution is to remove the feeding tube for a humane death, even though Huey doesn't agree with this approach. But before his father regains consciousness, he hands over the decision-making authority to Huey's mother. Huey's mother wants her husband to be free from pain. At the same time, Congressman Bob Singer addresses the American people. He announces a new anti-superhero law, but he doesn't receive public support. The news even refers to him as a fascist. Starlight has read his draft. She comes to talk to Bob Singer. If the bill passes, it would be like a stake through Vought's heart. They would be expelled from the military and police departments. Stock prices would plummet, and lawsuits would ensue. Starlight hopes the bill passes, but only if the bill passes. Will these things come to fruition? Bob's PR department is not doing a good job. Starlight uses her influence to get people to take to the streets, calling for the bill to be passed. The two of them can join forces to bring down Vought, but the enemy won't be without a countermeasure. Firecracker sets up a temporary press conference across from Starlight's house. All of Vought's media networks will broadcast it together to boost Firecracker's popularity. This is also how Sister Sage convinced Homelander to let Firecracker join the Seven, because in the age of information, public opinion and media are the most powerful weapons. Firecracker is the only one who can defeat Starlight. Her supporters are digging negative material about Starlight and injecting it into mainstream media. Then Sister Sage will find users who will accept this content, putting negative news at the top of subscription pages. Over time, these news articles will influence their impression of Starlight. They will start to dislike this superheroine. Sister Sage is prepared. Now it's up to Firecracker to incite the masses against Starlight's house. Firecracker has also invited many internet celebrities to support her cause. This media event will have many attendees. Mother's Milk asked Butcher to come and help. Butcher found Firecracker's information online. When this woman was 28 years old, she served as a counselor at a Christian Bible camp. She had a relationship with a 15-year-old minor. Butcher found the photos from that time. He threatened Firecracker to stop immediately, or he would release the photos online.
How about I just send it myself? Look around and find out.
Firecracker leaves Butcher behind and returns to the media event. She faces the camera and confesses her sins.
Now, I believe
our Lord Jesus Christ put that young man
in my life.
After explaining the incident with the 15-year-old boy, she shifts the focus to Starlight. This female hero, at the age of 13, in a supermarket, killed a home invader in the supermarket. But few people know, Starlight also blinded a hostage, and that hostage was a single mother raising 3 children. At that time, Starlight not only didn't apologize, but smiled at the camera, as if these incidents never happened.
I was still learning how to control my powers.
Fortunately, Butcher was prepared. He obtained the keys to Firecracker's trailer and sent Frenchie to investigate. On the other side, Huey wants to save his father. He secretly contacts A-Train in hopes of obtaining a dose of Compound V. But Homelander has already locked away all the Compound V in his own apartment. It's difficult for an ordinary person to acquire it.
If I do this, we're good. Forever? Yes.
Kimiko didn't expect that. Huey approached A-Train for the Compound V. She was about to say a few words to him when several bullets flew from the shadows. Huey injured his ankle while evading. Kimiko helped him into the building behind them. The assailant turned out to be a member of the Shining Light Army. Not long ago, Kimiko killed one of their comrades. The Shining Light Army would surely seek revenge. While Huey and Kimiko were trapped, A-Train sneaked into Homelander's bedroom to search. He found a pile of baby bottles. Fortunately, Compound V is nearby. He is preparing to leave with the medication. Ashley suddenly appears. Why is this woman in Homelander's bedroom?
You left a floater in his toilet?
That was there when I got here.
Now both of them have a leverage on each other. They have a tacit understanding and act as if they haven't seen each other. On the other side, Kimiko and Huey are planning to break through the encirclement. Kimiko covers for Huey. Unexpectedly, she is ambushed by female. It directly blew Kimiko into 2 halves. Even though she has regeneration abilities, she can't die. Such a significant injury still requires time to heal. Now Huey has to rely on himself. He tightly grips the utility knife and lunges at A-Train. He doesn't have a one-hit kill. He can only take the risk and fight his opponent. Huey is quickly cornered by the Flash army. At a critical moment, he stabs the enemy in the abdomen with the knife, taking the opportunity to slash his throat. By the time Huey goes to find Kimiko, she has regained her original shape, and she is fighting with Scar Woman. But Kimiko refused to kill, because both of them were kidnapped by A-Train. In the past, Kimiko, for the sake of survival, used an ice cream cone, tricked Scar Woman into the Shining Army camp, causing her to fall into a trap, and leaving a scar. Kimiko didn't ask Scar-Girl to forgive herself. She supports Huey and leaves. At the same time, Frenchie, with the keys in hand, goes to search the trailer. The tablet on the bed is broadcasting a Vought media conference. Firecracker obtains Starlight's medical records. She exposes it. 6 months ago, that Starlight, who has been a Christian since childhood, had an abortion at the hospital.
So you want to tell me that those teens over there, that they're safe with her, with that baby killer?
Starlight rushes into the media conference and punches Firecracker away. At this moment, she doesn't care if there are cameras around. She wants to beat this guy to death. Starlight is about to kill Firecracker. Mother's Milk rushes over to stop her. Then Starlight realizes that there are cameras all around her. Meanwhile, Frenchie is preparing to leave. He notices Firecracker's blonde-haired accomplice. This person is also a superhuman. His superpower allows him to freely extend and retract his limbs. Butcher hears about Frenchie's ambush through an earpiece, and immediately goes to support him. Yellowhaired turns into a one-armed. His arm wraps around Butcher's neck like a snake. Compound V is coursing through Butcher's body. His ex-wife's ghost has been cheering Butcher on. He forcefully tears apart Yellowhaired, successfully freeing himself from his grip. When Starlight and the others arrive at the scene, seeing blood everywhere, Yellowhaired's dismembered limbs scattered inside the carriage, Butcher quickly called Mother's Milk. Together they carry Frenchie and leave. On Homelander's side, after he finishes dealing with Frank, he apologizes to the researcher, Marty. Marty quickly says, "I treated you fairly well during your childhood, right?"
Well, you remember the nickname you had for me, right? Really? Squirt.
The origin of this nickname is, Homelander was often locked in an observation room as a child, usually for several hours or even days. Marty was responsible for observing him, and teenage boys have physiological needs, so when Homelander noticed, after Marty finished his inspection, he was away for a few minutes. He took advantage of that time to satisfy his physiological needs. But one night, Homelander didn't finish in time. Marty noticed his pants partially undone, and mocked Homelander, and gave him the nickname Spray Boy. Marty's smile froze on his face after hearing this, and Homelander called the staff over, asking Marty to perform in front of everyone.
No, don't be shy. Take your pants down. Now.
Marty, under pressure, surely can't satisfy Homelander, let alone his comments while watching. Homelander loses patience. He warns Marty, "If you don't succeed, I'll use lasers to cut off your unnecessary parts." While Homelander is happy, lab leader Barbara appears. She requests a private conversation with Homelander. Homelander crushes Marty's head, and follows Barbara into the observation room. Now Homelander enters again, this nightmarish room, only to find it much smaller than in his memory.
Did you come back here just to torment those people? Doesn't that feel a little small?
Barbara witnessed Homelander's birth scene. Vought paid a woman $2,000 for surrogacy, placing Homelander in her womb, and the matured infant used lasers to rupture the pregnant woman's belly. When Homelander was born, he killed 3 doctors and a nurse. Everyone was afraid of him, so small characters like Marty and Frank do not have the courage to provoke Homelander. They are merely following orders from their superiors. That's why Barbara thinks Homelander's retaliatory behavior is childish.
Yeah, everybody was terrified of you from your first breath.
But you weren't.
Barbara is indeed not afraid of Homelander, because she knows Vought doesn't have the ability to restrain Homelander. He could have escaped any time, but he never left, because Homelander needs validation and love. Vought brought in the best psychologists. They devised a plan. They implanted this need for love within Homelander, using this method to tame the dangerous experiment.
Your need for love is so deep. It's so human. You'll never be able to overcome that.
Even though Homelander won't admit it, Barbara exposed his vulnerability. As a result, Homelander goes on a killing spree. He leaves with bloodstains all over his body. Meanwhile, Frenchie is taken to his friend Colin's place. Confronted with his care, Frenchie can no longer pretend. He confesses to Colin that it was him who killed Colin's family. Colin immediately beats up Frenchie, but he doesn't intend to kill Frenchie. He warns Frenchie not to come near him again. Trouble is brewing for the boys. Meanwhile, Sister Sage is on a date with Deep because she needs to give her brain a break. The brain of an ordinary human stops growing around the age of 25, but Sister Sage's brain continues to develop and grow. It's both a gift and a burden. Meanwhile, Starlight's violent behavior attracts a series of problems. First, Bob Singer comes to confront her. He accuses Starlight of undermining his Supernatural Control Act.
Sorry doesn't bring back all the Republican votes you just torched. I can't be affiliated with you anymore.
Afterwards, Victoria Newman also accuses Starlight during an interview. Starlight finds herself in a difficult situation. On the other side, a train hands over the Compound V safely to Huey. Unexpectedly, Butcher sees it all. Huey says he wants to inject it into his father, and is willing to share half with Butcher. After all, becoming a superhuman is better than dying from brain cancer. Butcher expresses, 4 months ago, I stole a dose from Frenchie in an attempt to cure my brain tumor, but my condition didn't improve, and I didn't develop any superpowers. So Butcher wants to persuade Huey to give up and let his father rest in peace. But did Butcher really not gain any superpowers? The gruesome scene in the trailer. That's not something an ordinary person can do. At this moment, Huey arrives at his father's hospital room. Before he can make up his mind, an unexpected incident occurs. A mutated hen bursts out of its body, directly puncturing a hole in the suited man. The little lamb transforms into a flying monster and devours an old yellow cow. All animals injected with Compound V fall into a frenzy. Superheroes turn into a chicken-catching team. Meanwhile, on the human test subjects, changes are occurring. Vought is hosting a convention, hosted by Cameron Coleman and Deep. Introducing Vought's projects for the year, they unveil an exclusive film for Firecracker, Soldier of Jehovah. They also present a film adaptation of the famous football movie The Blind Side. In the middle of the presentation, they don't forget to play a tribute video for the death of Yellow Hair, condemning the Starlight home for slaughtering a Christian, and Homelander killing the entire lab. Hasn't come back to his senses from his journey back home yet. On the other side, Huey's father miraculously wakes up because his wife injected him with Compound V before their son could. Turns out, Huey's mother saw the vial in Huey's pocket and thought it was what her son wanted. With things as they are, Huey doesn't need to dwell on it. After all, his father looks very healthy. The family of 3 reunites after many years. He cherishes this time. His mother takes off her engagement ring and encourages her son to propose to Starlight when the opportunity arises. However, the father starts displaying strange symptoms.
Hey, where's your mom gone? She went to the bathroom, remember?
Yeah, of course.
Meanwhile, Firecracker officially declares war. She intends to charge Starlight with intentional harm and the murder of Yellow Hair. She plans to take Starlight to court. The reputation of the Starlight home plummets. In this public opinion battle, Firecracker emerges victorious. So when Butcher enters the boy's office, the atmosphere inside is similar to a morgue. Kimiko blames herself for what happened to the Scar Woman. Frenchie drives away Colin with the truth. Mother's Milk's daughter is suspended from school for fighting. Everyone has their own troubles. Butcher has a tumor in his head, which could potentially flare up at any moment. Most importantly, he completely doesn't understand how he managed to beat Yellow Hair to a pulp. Nevertheless, Butcher has some good news. Researchers at Godalkin University have developed a virus that can attach to Compound V in the blood of superhumans. It's completely harmless to humans, but it can cause devastating effects on superhumans. While its strength is not enough to kill Homelander, after all, that guy is too powerful. Butcher originally planned to steal the reagent from the university, but Newman beat him to it, so the boys have to reclaim the reagent from her. Butcher asks Mother's Milk to come up with a plan to obtain a presidential pardon. Then the two of them head to the prison to meet Stanford Edgar. He was formerly the CEO of Vought. Butcher arranged the pardon for him, for Stanford to regain his freedom. He has to help retrieve the compound from Newman. But for him, Newman is like his own daughter. How could Stanford possibly help someone else?
She shot up sweet little Zoe full of V. Turned her into a tentacle-mouthed nightmare.
As long as Stanford is willing to help, Butcher can help him regain custody of Zoe. This condition is truly tempting. Stanford agrees to cooperate with the boys. He leads them to an estate in the outskirts. If Newman wants to do something discreetly, she would definitely choose this location. Butcher takes the lead to investigate indoors. He sees blood handprints on the wall. They follow the blood trail inside. They quickly arrive at an underground basement. It's filled with various laboratory equipment. There are broken vials on the ground. Butcher releases a small rabbit, labeled Temporary Compound V. Frenchie opens a refrigeration unit. The reagents inside have disappeared. Only a label remains. It records each mutation of the virus. Clearly, someone is conducting tests. At that moment, several people start to nosebleed simultaneously. Shortly after, Newman and her team arrive. She received news of Stanford's release, but she cannot accept his betrayal.
You have 5 seconds to tell me what you did to Samir, or I paint this fucking room red.
Who the fuck's Samir?
The atmosphere in the laboratory is tense. Stanford tries to calm Newman down. Let's find Samir together. If you take action against the boys, they will also expose you as a superhuman killer to the public. After discussion, they decide to cooperate first. The group heads to a farm in the back. Stanford questions Newman. Why did you inject Compound V into our daughter?
You took a bright-eyed little girl and you turned her into
Into a what? A monster? Is that why you had me hide what I was?
All these years, Stanford has been urging Newman not to excel too much, because of her superhuman identity. But Newman doesn't want their daughter to live like that. She has never been ashamed of her superhuman identity. Meanwhile, Butcher and the others are plotting. They plan to have Starlight gouge Newman's eyes, once they find the reagent, and then give her an injection. To eliminate Newman as a threat, the group arrives at the chicken coop. Samir's lab assistant is lying on the ground, with several eggs stuffed in their abdomen. The next moment, Newman's assistant is also impaled by a hen. Clearly, these chickens have mutated. The group starts killing the chickens. They struggle to escape the chicken coop, and close the door. Now the priority is to find Samir. Butcher spots the previously released rabbit. He steps on the mutated rabbit, killing it. Meanwhile, while Huey buys a bottle of drink, his father on the hospital bed disappears. Huey's mother, who was reading nearby, is also completely unaware. They quickly go outside to search for him. They see Huey's father in another patient's room. Huey approaches and calls out to him, only to find a bloody corpse on the floor. His father's hand is still clutching the person's heart. He doesn't seem to remember killing someone. He doesn't even recognize his son immediately. Clearly, the Compound V in his body is starting to lose control. Huey's father roams through various hospital rooms. In his memory, his son is only 11 years old, but Huey's father can still recognize his wife, Daphne. Daphne is about to comfort him and take him back to their room, but Huey's father has an angry expression, blaming his wife for abandoning him and their son. His anger has made him volatile. Hospital security officers rush to help, but Huey's father pulls out their heart. Huey hurriedly takes his mother and escapes. At the expo, Deep complains to the host, Cameron. Why did they report on him? Losing his position as the crime analysis director, Cameron responds, this is following the rules. He has to appear fair and balanced, so sometimes he has to go after his own people. But Deep is still very angry. When the two return to hosting, Deep starts promoting Vought's latest diversity initiative, Black Empowerment. They target diverse audiences. They introduce customized digital product placements. For example, in the same TV show, if there's a drinking scene, white viewers streaming it will see the protagonist holding a brand product tailored to their taste. If a black viewer is streaming it, they will see the protagonist holding Vought Empire Peach Brandy. Black viewers are angry because this seemingly thoughtful design is actually a form of discrimination. Meanwhile, the director is speaking to Homelander and his son. They are trying to boost Junior Homelander's image, planning to launch a show called Superhuman School to capture the hearts of teenage viewers. Ryan doesn't really like this plan. Meanwhile, Homelander is preparing to change his approach to parenting his son. He says, "If you don't like it, we can stop." The director is very anxious. All the sets have already been built. They even paid for the Toronto studio. How can we just stop like that? But Homelander is firm. The director quickly realizes, if he wants to salvage the situation, he has to please Ryan, as long as they can continue filming normally.
Give me your black Amex.
What? You know what? Why don't you take my whole wallet?
Then, Homelander asks him to hand over the keys to the Jaguar. Ryan happily accepts all the gifts, but still refuses to cooperate. The director's 2 big gifts didn't work. Ryan is curious. Why isn't his father angry because of his defiance? He used to force him to cooperate with Vought. Homelander explains to his son, "I've been manipulated since I was little. Others told me what to say, where to stand." These days, Homelander has reflected and realized he's been doing the same to his son, but he won't do it anymore. From now on, they no longer follow the rules. Homelander only cares about Ryan's thoughts. Apart from his son, the whole planet is just nothingness. At the same time, Firecracker finds Sister Sage. She's not a fool. She can see that Sister Sage is using her, and then provokes Starlight to fight. It was part of Sister Sage's plan from the beginning, but Firecracker has a plan. She wants to get revenge on Sister Sage. On the other side, Ashley not only fails in business, but also faces rejection in her love life. While Ashley is full of worries, A-Train suddenly approaches, and confesses that he's the one who leaked information.
I took one shit in Homelander's toilet. I'm not joining the fucking Rebel Alliance. I need to tell him.
But A-Train insists on dragging Ashley down, because Sister Sage already suspects him. At this moment, the host invites students from the Godalkin University. Sam and Kate go on stage. Both of them are characters from Gen V. It's a surprise crossover. While Vought is anxious about the new quarter's revenue, Homelander and his son are still having milkshakes and bonding. Ryan is different from his father. He wants to use his superpowers for real rescues, because it was his mother's dream. Homelander sees the female assistant director being harassed. He asks his son if he wants to help her. After he finishes speaking, he beckons them to come over. Ryan understands his father's meaning. He asks the female assistant if she feels uncomfortable with the director's behavior. The female assistant nods. Ryan asks the director to apologize, but the director clearly wants to brush it off.
Adam, I think you should get on your knees and do it again.
The director doesn't dare to provoke Homelander, and reluctantly complies. Ryan truly is Homelander's son. He knows the director is not happy about it. Homelander gives Ryan an idea.
I want you to slap him.
Oh, fuck.
Do it again.
Ryan happily sips his milkshake. On the other side, the farm group, just escaped from the killer hen, encountered a mutated sheep that not only flies, but also bites old cows. Everyone flees quickly. A female assistant gets grabbed and torn apart in midair. Limb fragments scattered on the ground. They run to the barn and close the door. Unexpectedly, they accidentally find Samir. He was originally a key figure in the Vought RD Center, and Zoe's biological father. Samir explains, they injected a hamster with compound V5 to test the virus. It escaped the cage, and caused chaos in the lab. After compound V was broken, and leaked into the groundwater, almost all the original virus samples were destroyed. Samir only has the last dose in his hand, because the virus can only spread through bodily fluids. So Mother's Milk suggests injecting the corpses on the ground, and throwing them out to infect the sheep, to help everyone escape this dangerous place. Butcher and Newman, of course, disagree. There's only one precious dose left. It can't be wasted on something like this. Butcher suggests that everyone should run together, following Darwin's theory of natural selection. Whoever runs slow will die. The group starts arguing. Mother's Milk stops them. Do you see it? Hives. Because of you all. I'm so stressed that I have hives. No matter how important that serum is, it is not as important as human life. I still want to go back and see my daughter. Finally, Mother's Milk convinces everyone to inject the last dose into a corpse and throw it outside the barn. But Samir doesn't know when exactly the serum will take effect. Loud crashing sounds come from outside the barn. The sheep are still going crazy. Everyone starts running, but even the fastest legs can't outrun the flying sheep. Fortunately, the virus takes effect in time. The sheep that lost their lives crash to the ground, and Newman realizes that Samir is missing. Everyone is busy escaping and doesn't notice him, because Butcher didn't get the serum. He decides to put Stanford back in prison. Meanwhile, the search team searches the farm, and only finds Samir's severed leg. Just as the group is preparing to go home, the driver transporting Stanford suddenly gets shot in the head. It turns out Newman has caught up. She now needs her father's support. At the same time, hospital is in chaos. Huey rummages through the cabinets looking for sedatives. Father has already rushed to mother's side. He stands between the two, and uses memories of their father-son relationship to awaken Huey's dad's consciousness, but it's only temporary clarity. Huey knows there's only one solution. After obtaining his father's consent, he personally administers euthanasia to him. On the Vought side, the superhumans gather together, because they have captured the whistleblower, Cameron. Of course, it's all Ashley's doing. She secretly left false evidence on Cameron's phone. Not only did she vent her anger, but she also managed to get rid of A-Train's harassment. Just as the superhumans are using extrajudicial punishment on the traitor, Frenchie walks into the police station, ready to face a real trial.
Sure, we'll get to you when we can.
I committed murders. Plural.
And Butcher enters a hidden room. Behind the door is none other than Samir with the severed leg.
And you'll be back to work in no time.
What work?
Oh, what the fuck you think? You're gonna make us some more of that virus.
The above is the content of episode 5 of The Boys. For those interested in the series, if you like my channel, please give me a subscription. Huey infiltrated Homelander's gathering disguised as a superhero. He accidentally ended up in a training room.
You want that?
Yes? Stop! No more! If Web Weaver wants you to stop, he'll use a safe word.
Huey didn't know the safe word. Is he really going to die like this? Welcome to the latest episode of The Boys. Butcher wakes up the unconscious Samir, urging him to extract the virus from the animal carcasses quickly. Samir refuses to cooperate. Butcher wants to beat him up, but suddenly starts coughing severely. Nixon is a bit worried. Butcher struggles through the discomfort, giving Samir orders to extract the virus within a week and increase the intensity. The drug needs to be potent enough to kill Homelander. Samir chuckles. Creating a new serum would take at least a few months. Butcher disregards the other's explanation. He hands Samir over to Nixon for handling. On the other side, the boys have just finished Huey's father's funeral. Kimiko is not happy. Frenchie has just confessed. He admits to working for a Russian mob boss and committing multiple murders.
Who the fuck are your friends?
Abortion is murder! Abortion is murder!
Hey, fuck off, asshole!
Firecracker's extensive publicity makes Starlight's title as the baby killer well known. Kimiko didn't go back to the office with everyone else. She went to visit Frenchie at Folsom Penitentiary. Unexpectedly, the other party refuses any visitors. Frenchie is sincere and wants to atone. Meanwhile, Firecracker has already recovered from her injuries. She is also replacing Cameron in delivering the evening news. Mother's Milk gets angry when he sees this woman. His herpes outbreak worsens. He opens his meditation app to relax his mind and body. He gets interrupted by A-Train's phone call, because Ashley helped him frame Cameron. Cameron was killed by a superhero. A-Train gets scared. He refuses to continue being an informant. Mother's Milk immediately calls for a meeting with the team members. He learns from A-Train about Cameron's death. He accidentally finds out that Homelander is gathering superheroes and right-wing politicians to hold a federal party association party at the mansion. Now, the most important thing is to infiltrate this alternative right-wing party. Mother's Milk finds someone, the weakest superhero, Web Weaver. He plans to replace him at the party. He goes to Web Weaver's residence and brings a batch of new drugs for trade. Web Weaver has taken too many drugs and is currently in a confused state. Web Weaver gets drugged, and he remains unconscious for 48 hours. Mother's Milk instructs Huey to change into Web Weaver's clothes, which looks like a green version of Spider-Man costume and has a strong odor. This is also one of the reasons why Mother's Milk chose Web Weaver, because of the host of the party, Tech Knight's superpower, which is heightened sensory abilities. He can recognize different people by their scent, and the foul-smelling uniform is the perfect disguise. Huey's task is very simple. He only needs to infiltrate the party and set up listening devices, then lure Tech Knight over and leave the rest to Starlight and the others to handle. On the night of the association party, various right-wing individuals gather together. Tech Knight approaches Homelander for a conversation.
Sage and I might need you for the moment. But let's get one thing straight. There's no team up. We're not equals. You're pathetic.
Tech Knight dares not contradict Homelander. Shortly after, Huey successfully infiltrates the party scene. He was a little panicked when he saw the Super 7. He quickly sets up the listening device. He accidentally bumps into Newman. Huey instinctively apologizes in his original accent. Everyone is alarmed, fearing his exposure. Fortunately, Newman didn't care about insignificant individuals.
What happened to you? You look like you got ass fucked by the business end of a hammer.
Well, maybe I don't want to be at this CPAC nightmare any more than they want me.
Homelander tells Newman not to be hasty. Tonight, the wealthiest people in America will be in attendance. These people control 38% of the nation's GDP. Sister Sage will convince everyone to commit treason to help us implement the 25th Amendment. Meanwhile, Tech Knight leads Huey around the mansion with great enthusiasm. He walks into the study and opens a hidden room. Soon, Huey discovers why Tech Knight was so hospitable. Because this guy has some secret hobbies. He had previously agreed to be partners with Web Weaver. Huey's values are shaken. Tech notices that Huey's heart is pounding. He steps forward and reassures him. Don't be nervous, dude. I know you're capable. As for what Tech meant by capable, Huey doesn't dare to think about it. On the other side, Starlight, who lost signal, is very anxious. She's afraid that Huey might make a mistake. She decides to go inside with Kimiko to investigate. On Butcher's side, he spits out a mouthful of black blood. His wife's phantom sits beside him, complaining, asking Butcher why he cut off an innocent person's leg. Is his past bloodlust becoming uncontrollable? Butcher believes that to get rid of Homelander and save the world, sacrifices will inevitably be made. He can't have it both ways.
Saving the world? Really? You're gonna kill one Homelander. Just end up with another.
Butcher understands that his wife is right. At the same time, Kimiko wants to climb into the mansion from the rooftop, but halfway through, her handgun falls. She can only abandon the weapon and go in first. Kimiko opens the back door. Starlight and Kimiko enter. They split up to search for Huey. Tonight's banquet is unbearable. Newman deals with arrogant guests. She feels like she's going crazy, but Sister Sage's words are right. They don't respect women. The best way to deal with them is to use their wealth and then slit their throats. And Firecracker wants to join the conversation.
It's a great party, huh? Y'all see all the free shrimp they got?
Firecracker, it's kind of a private conversation.
But Sister Sage still looks down on Firecracker. At this moment, a waiter takes away the chocolate cake on the table and brings it to Tech Knight's training room.
It's your favorite. For the texture against the bare cheeks, right?
Tech Knight talks while suspending himself. Huey is truly shocked. To avoid exposing his identity, he then takes off his pants and sits on the chocolate cake.
That's fucking hot.
Just at that moment, Ashley enters the scene. She can't be missing. Tech Knight takes advantage of Ashley changing clothes and ties Huey to a chair. Ashley holds a feather, various actions taking turns. This exceeds Huey's tolerance. Tech Knight says, if you want it to stop, just shout the safe word. But Huey doesn't know Webweaver's safe word. He randomly shouts spider web, wolf spider. Ashley doesn't stop her actions, and Tech Knight becomes suspicious. Meanwhile, Starlight searches everywhere for Huey. She accidentally finds Firecracker's residence. Firecracker gets very excited upon seeing her. Starlight apologizes for past events. She admits to having done many bad things. Starlight injects a sedative into the back of Firecracker's neck. On the other side, Ashley completes her task and leaves the basement. Tech Knight approaches Huey with scrutiny, making him say the correct safe word. As Huey is about to randomly guess, Tech Knight pulls off his mask, and the person underneath is actually Huey. He can claim credit to Homelander and play a new game. Huey, don't you enjoy impersonating Webweaver? Well, then Tech Knight will make a spider hole on him. In a critical moment, Mother's Milk and Kimiko finally arrived at the library. Mother's Milk threatens Sister Sage not to alert others, and then instructs Kimiko to find the mechanism to open the secret room. Sister Sage won't stay obediently. She knows every member of the boys. She brings up Mother's Milk's rebellious daughter, continuously provoking Mother's Milk. Sister Sage wants to press the alarm button, but she gets shot by Mother's Milk. Meanwhile, Kimiko finds the secret room switch. Mother's Milk suddenly falls unconscious on the ground. Kimiko has no choice but to go find A-Train for help. When the two return to the library, Sister Sage on the ground has already disappeared. Kimiko can't speak. She uses the words on the book cover to communicate with A-Train. You must take Mother's Milk to the hospital, for the sake of his young daughter. A-Train can't stand bringing up family matters. He carries Mother's Milk to the hospital. Shortly after, Starlight arrives. Just as Tech Knight is about to make a hole in Huey, the two finally reach the basement. Kimiko kicks Tech Knight away. On the other side, Homelander senses something is wrong. How come less than an hour? Tech Knight, A Train, Firecracker are all missing. Then he discovers a hole in Sister Sage's head, causing some brain damage. Sister Sage is currently mentally unstable, insisting that Homelander get her a large meat roll, because Sister Sage was suddenly injured. Homelander can only personally hold a mobilization meeting, persuade the attendees to invoke the 25th Amendment. However, the people present are all astute, not enthusiastic mindless fans of superheroes. They don't want empty words, but assurances, such as how to deal with the Department of Justice, the military, how to ensure future oil reserves, what to do if civil servants collectively resign. These questions, clearly beyond Homelander's intelligence. He wants to seek help from Sister Sage, but she is busy eating. In the end, it is Newman who steps forward to help, although most people think she is incapable. But Newman is an excellent leader. She knows what these people want. Newman confesses, the United States is not a democratic country at all. The term democracy just makes people feel safe. Anyone with a mug that says life, laugh, love, shouldn't have it. The right to speak about how a country operates. The masses are merely labor. They need guidance wrapped in sweet coating. And the people present all have their own businesses, all have the ability to lead the masses. But due to various policy restrictions, they must operate their businesses under limitations. Now, as long as they support us, all these rules can disappear. These classist and right-centric words have gained the appreciation of the wealthy. Starlight and the others tie up Tech Knight. It turns out that trying to torture a masochist, it's possible that this is a reward for him. Tech Knight refuses to confess about his deal with Homelander. Just then, the rubber man suddenly breaks free from the chains, opens the laptop on the table. A prompt says stare at the webcam appears on the page. It's Tech Knight's bank account. As long as retinal verification is passed, access can be granted. Huey wants to seek revenge. He donates $45 million. Then, Starlight also donates $65 million.
$100 million to Black Lives Matter.
No, not those people! You! No way! They made me a deal, okay?
It turns out, Homelander wants to use the prison under Tech Knight's name, preparing to imprison people with different political views nationwide. Kimiko listens, and still donates $1 billion. Meanwhile, Tech Knight's personal butler suddenly emerges and grabs his master. He hates Tech Knight completely, wishing to eliminate him. Starlight and the others hand Tech Knight over to the butler for handling.
The safe word. It was Zendaya.
It turns out Webweaver's true love is Zendaya. On the other side, Mother's Milk returns to normal. His fainting was due to a panic attack. He needs to rest lately. Otherwise, it's highly likely to trigger a heart attack. The next day, Firecracker reports to Homelander that Starlight infiltrated the party last night, and Tech Knight is already dead. This gathering was highly confidential. Only internal personnel were aware. Cameron is not the leaker. Firecracker takes the opportunity to accuse Sister Sage of negligence. She not only failed to catch the spy, but also caused trouble at the party yesterday. Homelander doesn't believe Firecracker. You even let Starlight go. How do I know you're not a spy? Firecracker suddenly unbuttons her shirt. She knows. Homelander likes to drink milk. Firecracker has been injecting drugs for a long time to increase hormone levels, hoping to gain Homelander's favor. The level of madness is enough to prove Firecracker's sincerity. Meanwhile, Starlight is listening to last night's recording. She speculates. Newman doesn't know about the detention camp, but Huey suddenly bursts into tears. The incident in the detention room caused him psychological trauma. Ashley's torment, his father's death, made Huey unable to hold back his tears. Meanwhile, Butcher is preparing to torture Samir, but he refuses to create the virus. He confesses the real reason. When the virus becomes strong enough to kill Homelander, it will become an unstable entity, not only highly contagious, but also spreads through the air, with extremely lethal power. Everyone with Compound V in their blood will be in danger. This virus will kill every superhuman on Earth, including Starlight, Kimiko, and the Newman family. Meanwhile, Nixon is pleased. We can wipe out the enemy in one fell swoop. He convinces Butcher to eradicate superhumans, but his wife emerges, attempting to awaken her husband's humanity. Two voices entangle in Butcher's ear.
I know you.
Shut your fucking cake-hole, bitch!
You can see her.
It turns out Nixon, like his wife, is also a figment of Butcher's imagination. One represents his humanity, and the other represents his murderous desires. Butcher is struggling within himself.
Which is why when I tell you you want to do this, I am literally telling you that you fucking want to do this.
But which one is the real him after all? The above is the story of episode 6 of The Boys. If you enjoy my channel, please consider subscribing to me. The latest episode of The Boys is packed with information. A new shape-shifting superhero emerges. Homelander, the milk-drinking maniac, not only beats up Web Weaver, but also fires Sister Sage? Deep finally breaks up with his octopus girlfriend Ambrosius, ending their interspecies relationship. The fake Black Noir also reveals a flaw in front of The Boys.
Wait, you're the leak?
Did he just talk?
In the previous episode, Firecracker successfully gains Homelander's trust, and begins to sow discord between him and Sister Sage. Homelander also finds the bug hidden in the mansion, and all the conversations from last night have been leaked. Sister Sage comforts Homelander, and the boys won't disclose this information, because doing so would hinder their plans. The boys want to quietly take down Newman, and certainly won't act recklessly. Butcher has at most a few months to live. Sister Sage hopes Homelander won't interfere with the grand plan, but unfortunately, he no longer listens to her advice.
And what happens if those brains of yours get blown out again, leaving you talking like a gibbering idiot?
Homelander instructs Sister Sage to focus on managing Gunslinger, and ensuring he is ready on the 6th. As for the investigation into the leaker, let him and Firecracker handle it. A-Train, who is hiding outside the meeting room, overhears their conversation. On the other side, Deep is deepening his relationship with his interspecies girlfriend. In fact, Deep has been living with Sister Sage during this time, and has Nixon-lected the large octopus for a long time. He was about to comfort her, when he received an invitation from Sister Sage. Deep doesn't hesitate, and quickly abandons the octopus.
No, you promised me you'd move me into the tank above the bed.
Right, no, of course, babe. 100%. I just got to, clear out the freshwater exotics first.
Meanwhile, Starlight is having a conversation with her mother. It has been unsafe lately, and she wants her mother to move to Sedona for a while. But her mother is not satisfied with this arrangement, and is also unhappy about Starlight's abortion. Church members have been discussing it, and her mother accuses Starlight of setting a bad example as a woman, and making such an irresponsible choice.
I'm a person. None of that Starlight shit matters.
Then why did Huey save the suit?
Starlight didn't expect that. What her mother said was actually true, and Huey explains. He was picked up from the trash can, afraid that Starlight would regret it one day. The two of them have never talked about having children during this time, and Huey didn't ask much either. At this moment, Starlight confesses that she is not ready to bring a baby into a world facing doomsday, and Huey supports Starlight's decision. At the same time, A-Train is monitoring Sister Sage, and has identified the person known as Gunslinger. The boys prepare to meet the Gunslinger after receiving the intelligence. Unexpectedly, Butcher suddenly appears, and relays what Samir said to everyone. If the virus develops to the point where it can kill Homelander, it will cause a global pandemic. This would result in the death of all superhumans with Compound V in their blood. Therefore, to prevent the virus, and eliminate all superhumans, Samir needs an assistant. After Butcher finishes speaking, he looks towards the door, and it turns out to be Frankie. It turns out he contacted some acquaintances to get Frankie out of prison, and wants him to help select the virus, injecting only Homelander and Newman, sparing the others from the effects. Mother's Milk believes this plan is feasible, so he directs Kimiko and Frankie to assist Samir, while the rest investigate the Gunslinger. Due to his previous collapse at Tech Knight's mansion, Mother's Milk decides to let Butcher lead the boys again. His current state is not good, and could endanger everyone. Mother's Milk ignores Starlight's objections, and leaves the office. He transfers his available cash to his wife's account, and buys one-way tickets to Belize for his wife and daughter, hoping they will move there for a while, and return when the situation stabilizes.
Something big's about to go down. If we lose, shit's gonna get crazy. If we win, shit's gonna get even crazier.
His wife hopes that Mother's Milk will leave with them. At this moment, Butcher takes Starlight and Huey to investigate the Gunslinger, one of Sister Sage's henchmen. Nixon, representing the evil side of Butcher's humanity, keeps on talking in his ear, accusing him of being too soft on superhumans. Nixon knows that Butcher doesn't care about Kimiko and Starlight.
And Ryan, he's not even yours. What justifies the faith in the kid?
Butcher ignores Nixon's questioning and leads the two to investigate the gunslinger's room. There are files from the special branch in the drawer, containing details of a mission on January 6th, along with a map of Washington's open-air market. Single plans to hold a rally there, indicating that Homelander and his group want to seize the opportunity to assassinate the president. At that moment, a sound of impact comes from nearby. The three of them go to investigate and find a woman locked in a cabinet. She claims that the gunslinger killed her husband. The woman seems to recognize Starlight.
Let's get you some help, yeah?
The woman grabs a passerby's hand and snatches a piece of clothing from a laundry basket. As she walks, she tears off her skin, leaving a trail of blood. The woman runs to the back door, reaches out and pulls off her entire face. Then disappears from sight. It turns out that the gunslinger is a shapeshifting superhuman who can take on any form. She is the perfect candidate for the assassination mission. Vought Corporation. A train goes to remind Ashley. Homelander knows that Cameron is not the leak, but she got drunk at 10 in the morning. Ashley realizes it late. Feeling guilty for causing Cameron's death, she wants to leave the place.
Get your shit together, okay? You cannot be all wasted running your fucking mouth. Not when you have both of our lives in your fucking hands. Button it up.
After A-Train leaves Vought, he goes to see Mother's Milk, but finds him packing his luggage. It seems his wife convinced him, and they are preparing to go to Belize together. A-Train tells Mother's Milk, be that on the day he took him to the ER, he met a child whose eyes were full of awe and longing. That feeling was more beautiful than anything he had ever experienced at Vought.
'Cause for once, I didn't hate myself. That's on you.
Mother's Milk isn't convinced by A-Train. This war has lasted too long, and he can't bear it anymore. He doesn't want to end up like his father and grandfather. Mother's Milk just wants to spend quality time with his family. A-Train laughs at him for being too naive. Do you think all the mess with Homelander won't affect Belize? Where will your family run to then? At this moment, Homelander, accompanied by Firecracker, has found the real Webweaver, because Firecracker believes that this person is the informant. Webweaver gets excited when he sees Homelander, and in his excitement, he can't help but spray his web uncontrollably. Webweaver admits that Mother's Milk approached him, and now he's desperate, not daring to refute Homelander's accusations. That's why he became the informant. Homelander has zero tolerance for traitors. He takes a step forward, and tears Webweaver in half. Firecracker is directly shocked. At the same time, Kimiko and Frenchie go to meet Samir. Samir agrees to cooperate, but he wants Frenchie to guarantee that this virus will only be used on Homelander, and won't harm Newman. Unfortunately, Frenchie can't tell him the truth. Christmas is approaching, and Frenchie gives Kimiko a gift, as an apology for refusing to visit. Although Kimiko complains about Frenchie not talking to her about the problems he faces, she also has her own secrets, so Kimiko voluntarily confesses about her past. Her inability to speak or make sounds is not due to the trauma of witnessing the Shining Light Army killing her parents. On the first night she was captured and taken to the camp, the man in charge of training them said that the first lesson was to move like a ghost and not make any sound. So when the competition began, Kimiko killed a girl of her own age. Although they later lifted the requirement of silence, Kimiko could never speak again. She is well aware of the terrible things she has done, and she would rather accept being killed by the Shining Light Army than follow orders to kill her own kind. That's why Kimiko understands Frenchie's feelings.
How can we possibly forgive ourselves? How can we move on?
On the other side, Deep returns to his residence, and the octopus reveals his affair with Sister Sage.
There's no way Sage cares about you the way that I do.
She says that I'm a superior being. She has 4 limbs.
That is not fair.
The octopus wants to warn Deep that Sister Sage doesn't respect him and sees him as a joke. Deep gets angry, smashes the aquarium, runs out of the dressing room, and slams the door, forcing himself to ignore the octopus's plea, until the other party stops struggling. Shortly after, Homelander gives Deep a mission.
Sup, cumburgers?
Fuck you doing here?
Homelander is sick of your shit, bro. Said to put you out of your misery.
Except Deep, and Black Noir joins them. A major battle is about to break out. Deep keeps harassing Starlight, while Black Noir focuses on fighting Butcher. Butcher slides under the office desk, grabs a weapon, and fights back. He quickly discovers that Black Noir actually has narcolepsy. However, Butcher still struggles in the fight. The situation with Starlight keeps getting worse, as she is tossed around by Deep, and soon both of them are on the ground unable to get up. Butcher tries to awaken Nixon in his body, but there is no response. Unexpectedly, A-Train suddenly comes to the rescue. Black Noir exclaims, "So, you're the leak after all." This startles Starlight. When did Black Noir start talking?
Fuck. Made me fly.
Dick motherfucker.
Mother's Milk didn't actually go on vacation. In a critical moment, he appears just in time with his heavy weaponry, and with A-Train's assistance, the tide of the battle instantly turns. Starlight takes the opportunity to rush forward, and ruthlessly beats up Deep, venting her frustration from being attacked earlier. Apart from Butcher, everyone is still wary of Black Noir.
He's right fucking there. Let's do him.
You know how, Butcher? Cause I don't. But Noir sure as hell's gonna know how to fucking kill us.
The boys don't linger in the fight, and immediately retreat. A-Train's identity as the mole is exposed. So he goes to inform Ashley, hoping to leave with her. Ashley, who wanted to leave before, now refuses to go. She reminds Deep not to forget to remove the tracking chip from his body. Meanwhile, Homelander quickly learns about A-Train's betrayal. He never expected that the problem would arise among the core members. At this moment, Sister Sage approaches Homelander and questions why he sent someone to assassinate Butcher. Homelander doesn't give a direct answer, but instead asks how the world's smartest person couldn't figure out that A-Train was the leak. Sister Sage has known the truth for a long time. She deliberately made Butcher aware of certain information about Vought. A-Train was the perfect choice for delivering false information, and everything was part of Sister Sage's plan.
Get the fuck out of here. You're done. Go back to your little litter box in Detroit and die alone.
Homelander cannot tolerate her acting on her own, so Sister Sage leaves Vought. On her way, she encounters Deep, and he exposes his cheating behavior.
Is she lobotomizing herself to fuck you too?
What do you mean lobotomizing herself?
It seems that the octopus claims were correct, and Sister Sage indeed looks down on him. Meanwhile, Huey is about to have a conversation with Newman. He hopes to persuade her one last time based on their past relationship, asking her not to make mistakes with Homelander again. That guy is planning to assassinate the president, and wants to imprison all of Starlight's followers in detention camps. Newman is hearing about the detention camps for the first time.
And if you're even like 1% of the person that I knew, then I don't think you really want to do this. You can still step back.
But she doesn't say anything. With things at this point, Huey has no choice but to leave the underground lab. Samuel has already extracted the first dose of the serum. He takes advantage of their distraction to unlock the handcuffs, and infects Kimiko's leg with the virus. Fortunately, Kimiko has strong regenerative abilities to prevent the virus from spreading. Frenchie sawed off Kimiko's leg and stores it in a freezer. Frenchie should be able to extract the virus from it. Although he's unsure about its toxicity and whether it can kill Homelander, it might still be possible to kill Newman. Ryan, who hasn't appeared for a long time. Christmas is approaching. He must cooperate with Vought's plan to shoot a series of propaganda videos, encouraging viewers to report Starlight's supporters around them, even if they are friends or parents. But Ryan feels that it's not right, so he calls his father, while Homelander tells him not to complain and just go along with it. Ryan finds a gift from Butcher under the Christmas tree. The package says, "Don't be a jerk," and inside is a photo of his mother. Soon, the promotional video starts filming, and Ryan faces the live camera. He can't bring himself to say the scripted lines.
Your family isn't your enemy. Your family is all you've got.
And instead speaks his true feelings. Homelander and Butcher look at Ryan through the camera, each having different thoughts. Butcher is undoubtedly relieved.
And that is why I got faith in the kid.
And he collapses to the ground. On the other side, Starlight suddenly puts on her old uniform.
Now, admit it. You have fantasized keeping this suit on for this.
And Huey gets to spend the night with his goddess as he wished. This passionate Starlight is actually a shapeshifter. She takes something from the safe, and the real Starlight was locked in a secret room. It's evident that she has fallen into the trap set by the shapeshifter. That's the story of the 7th episode of The Boys. If you're interested in this series, please give me a subscription. The Congress has started counting the votes today, verifying the incoming president. The extraction of Compound V by Lamplighter is also in its final stages. Mother's Milk contacts Huey, asking him to check the FBI's database. They must quickly confirm the identity of the shapeshifter. He doesn't know that the shapeshifter is dating Huey. Huey doesn't realize that the Starlight by his side is fake. He accepts the other's proposal. He is overwhelmed with joy. He doesn't see anything wrong. After dealing with Huey, the shapeshifter goes to a secret hideout to visit the imprisoned Starlight. She possesses telepathy. She can freely access Starlight's memories. That's why she can successfully deceive Huey. The shapeshifter has awakened his superpowers since kindergarten. She has seen the thoughts and memories of countless people. Everyone is incredibly hypocritical and disgusting. Starlight is no exception. She has done a lot of bad things in the past. She now feels that she is different from those superhumans.
Oh God, I'm Annie January and I'm the only good one.
On the other hand, Butcher's health is deteriorating. He is already lying in the intensive care unit. Negan urges him to let go of his concerns. There is still a chance to win.
'Cause you still have me.
You ain't even fucking real.
Well, now, that's an interesting philosophical question.
Negan, to convince Butcher, reveals his trump card. He can grant Butcher superpowers, just like that day in the trailer, to kill their enemies. As long as Butcher is willing to let go of everything, he can survive. Grace suddenly pays a visit, right in the middle of their conversation. Homelander's agitation reaches its peak. He packs his son's backpack, but he discovers the Christmas gift sent by Butcher. His son's betrayal makes him angrier. Ryan hears a loud noise coming from the room. He pushes open the door to investigate. He sees Homelander has made a mess of the room. There is also a fire pit on the wall.
Come here now.
Faced with his furious father, Ryan's first instinct is to run. Homelander still has things to deal with now. He collaborates with Newman for a TV broadcast. The two will be before the election results come out. Firmly oppose Darko Bob's anti-transhuman law. Homelander is tired of these official narratives, tired of dealing with the audience. Why can't things be simpler? Homelander directly announces that Newman is also a superhuman, and he shoots a laser at her to eliminate any possibility of public relations for Newman. The production team quickly ends the live broadcast. Newman questions Homelander about his intentions.
New world, new rules. Now shut the fuck up and listen. Our fates are connected now, and I am the only fucking friend you've got left.
Homelander instructs Ashley to submit a list anyone in the company who has information detrimental to the Super 7, and hand it over to him. Ashley is very surprised. This is about eliminating dangerous individuals. At this moment, the election results have been verified, but it came out that Vice President Newman was a superhuman. Protests have erupted nationwide. Now everyone is capable of attacking Senator Single. Mother's Milk urges Frenchie to accelerate their actions, and instructs Huey to prepare damning information on Newman, to prevent the situation from deteriorating further. However, when Huey opens the safe to retrieve the hard drive, he discovers that all the information about Newman has vanished. Mother's Milk is frustrated. Now there is no chance for an attack. They can only choose to give up. He sends Huey a set of coordinates for everyone to gather there. At this time, Senator Single, in order to stabilize public opinion, announces to the public that Newman will be removed from office. After seeing the news, Butcher tells Grace, "Grace, you have to protect Single all day." A bodyguard knocks on the door and announces the arrival of a visitor. It turns out Butcher sent a text message to Ryan, hoping to have a conversation with him. Grace hasn't seen Ryan in a long time. She didn't expect him to have grown up so much. Butcher asks Ryan to follow Grace and leave Walt, and they have to leave now.
No, I can't. My dad would find me.
Not this time, kiddo.
I'm not sure I want to leave. I kind of like it there.
Neagle mocks from the side. "You see, right? This is the power of genetics. You should kill this kid immediately." Homelander didn't know his son was almost kidnapped. He gets the list from Ashley. He takes the milk prepared by Firecracker.
Cilantro.
Homelander declares that after the election is over, Single must die. Then Vice President Newman will take over. There will likely be riots and bloodshed among the public at that time. Vought will mobilize every superhuman to restore social order, to defend the lawfully elected President Newman. During this time, Firecracker has been coughing.
I'm so sorry. The meds. You know, the meds.
Homelander tells her to sit farther away and give the list to Deep and Black Noir, instructing them to kill everyone on the list. Deep suggests that if they want to get rid of the witnesses, shouldn't Ashley be the first? Homelander almost forgot about her. Ashley, who was eavesdropping outside the door, was almost scared to death. She hurriedly runs into Homelander's room. She opens a drawer and injects herself with a dose of Compound V. At the same time, Mother's Milk and the team members are strengthening security around Single to prevent shapeshifters from sneaking in while they're off guard. Mother's Milk also assigns Kimiko to protect Single closely. The shapeshifter is wearing Starlight's mask, watching them work tirelessly. However, wearing multiple masks makes him feel hot easily.
Furnace in here.
It's like a furnace in there.
Huey finally realizes that this person is fake. He pretends to stay calm to avoid arousing suspicion from the shapeshifter. He approaches Mother's Milk and tells him the truth.
The fate of the country relies on us keeping our shit together, so just chill.
Hey! The two of them speak calmly, but their hands and facial expressions hint to Kimiko. The shapeshifter senses that something has changed. The shapeshifter pushes them aside. The bodyguard shoots multiple times at her back, but the shapeshifter doesn't feel it. The shapeshifter pushes him onto the table. Kimiko and the other bodyguards open the security door. They want to escort Single away. The shapeshifter grabs a golf club and charges towards them. She nails the bodyguard into the clothes hook. She quickly chased after him. Kimiko signals Single to run ahead. She turns around and sees the shapeshifter biting one of the bodyguards to death. The shapeshifter wipes off the blood and charges towards Kimiko, but Kimiko manages to overpower the shapeshifter. The shapeshifter pushes Kimiko aside. He snaps Kimiko's neck. The shapeshifter approaches Huey and the others. Mother's Milk is still entering the security door code. At this critical moment, Starlight finally arrives. She almost breaks her wrist to escape from the secret room. At that moment, the security door finally opens. Huey escorts Single away. Starlight stays behind to deal with the shapeshifter. Faced with this identical face, she shows no mercy in her attack. Starlight chokes the shapeshifter until the other person stops breathing. Kimiko also successfully heals herself. Meanwhile, Newman quickly learns about the assassination failure. She immediately contacts Homelander, asking him to quickly seek help from Sister Sage. Perhaps there's still time to cover up the traces. Homelander won't apologize to Sister Sage. He says that if necessary, he will personally deal with Single. If Newman assumes the presidency, she must become his puppet. If Newman dares to resist, Homelander will attack Zoe. On the other side, Mother's Milk and the others return to the laboratory. Frankie's virus is already prepared. Huey apologizes to Starlight. After all, he didn't recognize the shapeshifter. He even got engaged to the enemy. However, a rift has already formed. It's not something that can be easily repaired with a simple apology. Huey receives another call from Newman. Newman doesn't know whom to contact. Newman expresses willingness to resign from her position. She hopes that Huey can get the CIA to send her and Zoe away.
You hit me, I hit you back, and it never fucking ends.
War games, Huey. The only way to win is not to play.
Newman just doesn't want to be the scared kid in Red River House anymore. She needs the sense of security that power brings, but she can't let Zoe be harmed because of it.
Please, Huey.
You're literally the only person on Earth I can turn to right now.
Huey still has a soft heart. If they can make Newman join forces to take down Homelander, things will certainly be easier. Life is not a Vought movie. Hatred and slaughter are not bravery. Forgiveness, and compassion are what Huey considers to be brave. Mother's Milk persuading A-Train is a successful example. Under his persuasion, everyone agrees to give Newman a chance. Of course, if she tries anything, Mother's Milk will immediately inject Newman with the virus.
You really think this is wise?
Kimiko earnestly tells Frankie, perhaps forgiveness is the best thing we can do, to forgive both Newman and ourselves. At the same time, Grace tells Butcher, what's assassination plan failed, but Ryan, with his extraordinary hearing, immediately catches her whisper. Grace tells Ryan the truth. Your father Homelander intends to assassinate the president. He killed everyone on Flight 37. Your mother got pregnant with you, also forced by Homelander. He's not the hero you imagined. Ryan looks to Butcher for help, hoping he would deny these words, but Butcher can only apologize. He pleads with Ryan to accept training, to find a way to kill Homelander. Ryan misunderstands their intentions, thinking they called him over just to use him to kill Homelander, and Ryan soon realizes that this is not an intensive care unit at all, but a CIA safe house. This is specifically designed to detain superhumans. As long as someone activates the button, the room will be filled with fluorine gas. Ryan pushes past Grace, who was blocking him, and leaves. Butcher looks at the bodies on the ground, realizing what Negan meant. Ryan is Homelander's son. He has the violent factor running in his blood. So when Newman, filled with hope, brings her daughter to the lab to find Huey, Butcher immediately uses his awakened superpower to grab Newman, tearing her apart into 2 pieces. Blood splatters on everyone's faces. Butcher takes the virus from Frankie's hand.
Oh, by the way, you're all fucking welcome.
At this moment, Vogelbaum is killing, brutally slaughtering nearly half of the staff. Homelander holds his son's backpack and watches the news report. He learns about Newman's death just when he feels exhausted. Sister Sage comes in holding a balloon. She says, "We won." Homelander doesn't understand the meaning behind her words. Sister Sage explains, although things deviated from the original plan, the outcome is satisfactory. After she finished speaking, she pointed at the TV.
If you'd killed Newman like I ordered, we wouldn't be stuck 4 stories underground playing pocket pool.
Sister Sage made some slight modifications to the safe house surveillance. This made Single the scapegoat for Newman's murder. He was also detained by federal agents. After all, just a few hours ago, Newman's superhuman identity was just revealed. Single's actions would undoubtedly cause a stir. Sister Sage took out her phone and handed it to Homelander. The caller was Congressman Carl Hoff, the Speaker of the House. If the 25th Amendment is invoked, he would be the next presidential candidate, and Carl wants to pledge his allegiance to Homelander. The reason Sister Sage continues to help Homelander is simply because this game is too interesting, and her plan has only just begun. Before long, Homelander reaches a cooperation with the president. They claim that Newman was assassinated by Starlight's followers, and using this reason, they form a superhero army, vowing to cleanse the traitors within the U.S. government.
And to the Starlighters, whatever rock you're hiding under, we're coming for you.
The brand new superhuman army is like a massive spiderweb, pouncing on Starlight and others. Homelander's counterattack officially begins. Meanwhile, Zoe cannot escape her mother's fate. She is also sent to Red River Collective Home. At this moment, Butcher races through the night with the virus. This time, he can no longer see his wife's illusion. Only Negan remains behind him. The storyline has reached such a lively climax. How can we leave out Soldier Boy? So in the season finale Easter egg, Homelander finds the slumbering Soldier Boy. The 4th season is still worth watching. It follows a typical pattern of a slow start and a thrilling finish. The first few episodes lack novelty, but as the story progresses, it becomes more and more exciting. There is further exploration of all the characters. Each person has their own character development arc. It is a very well-crafted ensemble. If you enjoy my channel, please consider subscribing.